Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, I met my old workplace bully whilst he was on a date. I called my teacher by her schoolyard nickname in front of the class. Petty asthma. Don't want to lend a cart for 5 minutes? Have fun waiting on the elevator for an hour. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I met my old workplace bully whilst he was on a date. So back in June, I left a very toxic workplace of 8 years. I mainly left due to having a breakdown from being overworked. But this one particular person made working there even worse on top of the excessive work. This guy was 1 year younger than me. He was a 30-year-old man, the type of guy that appears to have peaked in secondary school, very jock-like mentality and childish too. He was part of my team of 4. I was civil with him just because I had to work with him, but he was my workplace bully. Apart from just the general workplace banter, this guy, let's call him Chris, was relentless with his teasing. What would usually be classed as playful always pushed to bullying from him because he never knew when to quit. And if he noticed you were getting stressed or annoyed, he'd use you as a target of his teasing for the rest of the day. He would be super nice to you when it's just the two of you, but as soon as he has an audience, he picks his victim and will tease them constantly in what he would call playful. And if you ever got annoyed and stood up for yourself, he'd say he's only messing and make out like he's the victim. He's that type of person. One specific thing that he absolutely lost any respect I had for him was when I was still working there, some ex-employee wrote a very aggressive and angry review on Glassdoor about the company. Just because this person used a phrase that I use, Chris thought the review was me. As much as I proved that it wasn't me, didn't even have a Glassdoor account at the time. He was relentless with campaigning around the office that I was the one that wrote it. I also believe he told the boss that I was the one that wrote it once I left, and that's why I didn't get any freelance work from them afterwards. So after I left my workplace, my old team still have a group WhatsApp that I'm a part of, and we still talk almost every other day on it. After I left, the group chat went a bit quiet. I assumed they made a new one of just them, which is fair. But the chat still kept going occasionally. I unfollowed and unfriended Chris on Facebook and Instagram because I just didn't want to be associated with him anymore. In the middle of the group chat, he broadcasts, "Why did you unfollow and unfriend me on Facebook," whilst also at ING me. He wrote this message at 6:30 a.m. I woke up to this message broadcasted in the group chat. It pissed me off. So I was honest and said that he's a bully, and instead of making a big thing of it, I'd rather just remove him from the equation. I also said that it was immature of him to do this over the group chat and not in private. He didn't say anything, he just left the group chat and blocked me on everything. The group chat pretty much died after that. I was at the time livid. This 30-year-old man set fire to the group chat, saw what I said, and then ran off. I thought it must be a blessing in disguise because I finally got to say what I wanted to him, and I now don't have to acknowledge him again. But I was wrong. Skip to 3 months later, me and my husband walking through town and stopping off at a pub to get some grub. And lo and behold, I see Chris there with a new girl I hadn't seen before. I was feeling extra confident and decided to approach. I went and said, "Hey Chris, long time no see," with a big grin on my face, Chris looking like a deer in headlights, the perfect kind of red cheeks. I asked him, "How are things, you doing well?" and he replied in a very normal way, clearly not wanting the conversation to continue and looking so awkward in front of his new girl. She asked how we knew each other. I generously waited for Chris to say we used to work together. So I added onto that, "Yeah, it's quite funny really, Chris used to be my workplace bully. He's the reason why I struggled financially after I left my old job, because he accused me of writing a hostile review to the company, which I proved I didn't do, and lost me a lot of freelance work because of it." He was gobsmacked. Face redder than a traffic light. the new girl clearly looking confused and uncomfortable. Neither of them responded. I didn't want it to carry on much longer as it wasn't really fair on her. But just to add salt to the wound, I said, "So, is this your new girlfriend, Catherine? Or is this Georgia? What happened with Sarah since someone said you were still with her last week?" All of those are completely true, he gets around. This girl goes from confused to angry in the blink of an eye and just stares at Chris. I just say, "Oh whoops, I really put my foot in my mouth, haven't I? I better go, it was nice seeing you again, Chris," and walk off. My husband, whilst he felt bad for the girl, which I did too, but TBF, I might have saved her from inevitably being dumped by him a few weeks later when he gets bored of her, was very proud that I finally got my closure revenge on him. It feels amazing. Like I feel so petty, but it felt good for there to finally be some consequences to this Chris guy being a stupid. I called my teacher by her schoolyard nickname in front of the class. I'll try to keep it short. My name has a silent letter in it, and I had this teacher that relentlessly not only kept pronouncing it, but over-enunciating it no matter how many times I corrected her. She just kept doing it. One day I just finally snapped. Her name is really weird, I won't say it here, but those who know know. She called roll and said the mispronunciation of my name. I answered, "Yes, Mrs. Icky Booger." Her jaw dropped and you could hear a pin drop. She said, "That is not my name." She'd obviously heard this name around or had her own junior high flashback. I clearly stated, "And that's not my name." She pronounced it correctly from there on out. Petty asthma. I have asthma, and one thing that really makes it flare up is smoke, especially cigarette smoke. I was at an amusement park today, in a very clear no smoking area, when a group of 3 adults arrived, pushing a stroller with 2 kids in it. The adults immediately all started smoking, and the kids looked miserable. My asthma was also flaring up, so I started coughing, until when they asked, "Is our smokin' bothering you?" In the most southern accent, their teeth were rotting out of their mouth. I went, "Only a little, I just have asthma, and people smoking flares it up, and I forgot my inhaler." Which I did, the smoking area is just over there, if you need it. I don't know if this is petty per se, but it felt good when they walked away, with people staring at them as I was heavily coughing, truly coughing, it wasn't fake, and the group walked away with smoke radiating off of them. Don't want to lend a cart for 5 minutes? Have fun waiting on the elevator for an hour. For some background, I own my own small business and have a couple of storage units for extra overflow of supplies, inventory, etc. from our main location. The storage units are in a building where you drive in on the main level, then there is a basement level, where my storage units are at, and then 2 levels above the main level. There are also 2 elevators, a smaller one which can fit 1 person, and a much larger one that can fit 2 to 3 people. So today I drive in and notice a moving truck in the main area, which is nothing out of the ordinary. However, I realized that there are about 10 people helping move stuff and they have every single cart, which was about 8 carts, that the storage place provides to help people move stuff from their car to their storage unit and vice versa. I ask if I could borrow a cart for not even 5 minutes and I'll be on my way, but lo and behold I get told in a really bitchy voice, "No, we need these carts to move our shit." Okay, whatever, it'll take me a few extra minutes to get what I need, but not the end of the world. So I go to the larger elevator to go down to my unit, and on the way down, I realize that they are on the top floor and I'm on the bottom floor. I also realize that if I place a box in the elevator door, they won't be able to use this elevator. So I decide to put a box blocking the elevator from closing and decide to take my sweet time getting what I need, cleaning, make a few phone calls, etc. during this time, and the 5 minutes now becomes an hour. I eventually finish what I'm doing and go back to the main level with what I need and see 4 people waiting in line for the smaller elevator to go back up since they can only go 1 person at a time. Did I really need to do this? No. But if you don't want to help me out for a few minutes, then be prepared to have your time wasted. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.